Housing prices have risen to insane prices. On this reaction video, I'm going to tell you exactly why. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Byron Lazine. And if you like this type of content, please, I encourage you to share the content and consider subscribing. On this video, I am going to be reacting to an Anthony Pompliano video, Pomp as they call him in the crypto world. And if you are into crypto, I've learned more about crypto watching his content than anywhere else. But he's got a new podcast out. It's called The Best Business Show. And on this particular episode, he's getting into my world, the world of real estate. So let's dive into it and react to what Pomp has to say about real estate.
The housing market is absolutely insane. And anyone who thought they knew how the housing market worked pre-pandemic has just been wrong. Like literally everyone's been wrong across the board. And what we found was the housing market is way more complex than we thought. So the housing market is up for the average.
I'm not actually sure that everyone is wrong. In fact, on my radio show, when COVID kicked off, I was one of the people out in front saying, this is going to be good. So not everybody was wrong, Pomp, but
single family home. The new single family homes are up in price about 6% from June 2020 to June 2021. But the sale,
they're up more than that,
of those homes has fallen off a cliff. It's down almost 20%. There's 839,000 homes that were sold back in June of 2020. Now there are only about 676,000 homes that are sold in June of this year.
This is true if you're only talking about new construction homes. He's referencing a chart that says new residential sales. Okay, so new residential sales, new construction. If we go to what's actually happened for existing single family homes, which is the bulk of the sales in America, you will see here that in June, what he referenced, June 2020, this is US, all of US had 4.3 million, just over 4.3 million sales for existing single families. Well, in June this year, we had 5.14 million. So from last year, we had over 19% existing single family homes actually sold. That's not prices. That's the amount of homes sold in correlation to last month, just May. This is June. I know we're now in August, so they don't have July up here, but May, just stick with me here. May to June, it increased 1.4%. So what Pomp's talking about is accurate for new construction. He does not say that. So I just want to make that clear.
And so if you look going into June, there was a whole bunch of things that fed into housing boom, right? So that big inflection point there right before June 2020. We had cheap capital flooding the market. So interest rates were
free money for sure. Low interest rates
were moved down with 2 emergency rate cuts. Cheap capital floods the market. People take the cheap capital, they convert it to a hard asset like a house. They refinance homes, all that kind of stuff.
This is something that most real estate professionals, people that really know the industry very well, that study the industry, Ivy Zellman, the list goes on and on, Tom Ferry, KCM, these types of people were saying these low interest rates are going to be a boom for real estate. So not everybody wasn't able to predict the market. The low interest rates were a huge indicator that the market was going to go up.
The second thing is there was a whole bunch of mobility that increased in terms of people saying, oh, I live in a shoebox in New York. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to move to the suburbs, or I'm going to move to another state or city. I'm going to buy a home there. And so there was.
If you sell real estate in the suburbs, you know exactly what he's talking about. In Connecticut, I own a team in Connecticut that certainly felt this with the New York City rush in 2020. Very true. All right.
It's kind of this rotation of citizens moving out of cities, moving into other areas. They were buying homes. So,
by the way, Zillow calls this the great reshuffling of our time. Zillow believes, and they've got more data than anybody, that this isn't just, they believe this was going to happen before COVID rather, and they believe this is going to continue to happen because the millennials are the largest buyer demographic in America. So the great reshuffling, people moving around, people being able to work remotely, moving out of cities, Zillow believes this is going to continue.
Cheap capital plus a bunch of movement, you get this explosion. On top of that, you also got a little bit of what I call freedom flight. And freedom flight basically means if you lived in California or New York, you realize your government probably doesn't look out for you. You got out of there. You went to Texas, Florida, somewhere where they actually cared. So
we don't do politics on this show, but there you go.
So freedom flight, cheap capital, and then also just mobility in general. You got this kind of explosion in homes. But what we've had happen is we continue to see the cost of building the new homes increasing. So there was already a shortage of new homes in America, about the size of Miami population, 400,000 homes. Every year is more, we need 300,000 to 400,000 more to keep up with demand. But when we had all this movement, prices go up because demand goes up. As soon as the construction costs started to explode upwards, a lot of construction companies just said, we can't operate our business like this. We literally cannot sell the home for enough to make up for the cost of which we have to pay.
This is the big point. And if we go back to his chart, I don't want to lose our spot here if we go back to this, but if we just go back to his chart, this is what he's talking about. New residential sales, new construction. He's 100% correct here. We've seen it in our market. I know many agents in the comments, you can leave a comment. I know you've seen it in your market where builders and developers have literally stopped. I know developments where the builders have turned back the money. So buyers had a property under contract and they said, wait, no, here's your deposit back. We want out of the contract because cost of materials went so high and the builder was going to get to a place where they were breaking even or losing money, which when you factor in your work and your time is essentially the same thing. Breaking even, you would lose money. There was a story in Arizona. I covered it on the Real Word. You can go to the Real Word podcast and check that out, where an entire development turned back. It was the first time in history where they turned back deposits at scale, hundreds of deposits. And then they were putting buyers back under contract at a higher rate to basically make up for this cost of materials. So for new construction, this is 100% what is happening. We have a development with the team in Connecticut where the developer has pre-sold the building, but because of the cost of steel, because of the cost of material, is not willing to close until 2023. Extended the time frame in which they were willing to build out these units in the final phase. The buildings were pre-sold, and there still was a lack of motivation to get that property up and going. So we'll go back here and see what else he's got.
Pay. Labor's up. Wood is up, lumber, right? All these different inputs went up. And so to see the fact that the housing sales of new single family homes is down 20% shouldn't really be that surprising in hindsight. Very, very few people thought that this was going to happen the way that it did. And
there he does say new housing. So there you go. But existing homes, because there's a lack of new housing, and there's been a lack of new housing for years now. Remember, the last crisis, we had an oversupply of housing. Everyone's like, are we getting into a real estate bubble? Is a bubble happening? No. In 2006, 2007, we had an oversupply of real estate. Now we have a lack of supply.
So when you start to look at other types of homes, we actually see luxury homes still going up. It's still exploding. People still want luxury homes. And the reason is because the rich are getting richer. If you hold investable assets, if you're rich, you're actually making more money. You need somewhere to put the money. You're going to buy a nicer and nicer home. So luxury homes are becoming more popular. We're still seeing kind of good growth there, but it's in the average
in certain areas
single family home. That is where we're seeing that drop. And so again, only on brand new single family homes, you're seeing a drop because builders aren't building, but existing single family homes, as we referenced here, have gone through the roof. You saw, again, June in 2020, you saw 4.3 million. Since June of 2020, the sales have been over 5 million. October, we went over 6 million. November, December, which are usually down months, January, we saw about 6 million. And we've seen it up over 5 million each and every single month. So in comparison to last year and in comparison to, before the crisis, we are seeing existing single families sales on those homes go through the roof. Believe that people are done moving around, and will home sales actually fall lower than they were pre-pandemic? Or do we feel like we're kind of right back to where we started and we're going to hang out here for a while?
All right. Well, I'll answer that. And I know he's going to go on and he goes on. You can watch that video for, another 12 minutes, but I'll give you my 2 cents here on where I think the values are going. Well, let's just think about this, right? In 2005, 2006, 2007, we had a huge oversupply of homes. Builders and developers were building almost twice as many homes as they will build this year. And we are in a cumulative shortage of years. Over the last 10 years, we haven't built enough homes. So not only are we not going to build enough homes in 2021, we have to make up for the shortage, that lack of building that we've done for the last 10 years. Okay. So are prices going to go anywhere when you have huge buyer demand, this great reshuffling that Zillow has referred to, and you have limited supply? No, they're probably not. And when you think about all of the money, he referenced it here, all of the money that we have printed here in the US, okay, and compare that to what it's worth for assets, real estate becomes very attractive. I don't think the prices are going to go anywhere. Certainly, we don't have any indications that there is a supply, bunch of supply coming from somewhere. Builders are literally not building. We are going to be at the end of the year in another situation where we are lacking supply. I do think, and we're hitting it right now at the end of the summer of 2021, I do think we're having a little bit of a shift, a little bit of a pause where buyers are starting to get a little bit more control. It's not going to impact prices. I feel like the prices are pretty solid. I do think Pomp did a decent job breaking this down, but again, he didn't really highlight the difference between brand new construction and existing home sales. Totally different. Existing home sales have gone up because of this, and new construction home sales have gone down. I would encourage you, if you're into learning about Bitcoin and those types of things, go check out some of Pomp's content. He's really good. He's taught me a lot about that world, but real estate, you got my 2 cents on that. I appreciate you guys watching this video. Please leave a comment and consider subscribing if this is content that you enjoy, because there'll be more of that coming. See you guys on the next one.